There basically is this underlying principle for which I believe everyone should be taught in school or should be taught when they're at a young age. But unfortunately, about 99% of the world's population don't know about this concept. And I don't even mean this in like a way of like, well, I'm something better, they don't know it, or like in any other way where puts me on a pedestal above them or whatever. I don't mean this in a judgy way at all. I just mean it's like probably a fact and like you can't really talk about around this. I mean, you could argue like I haven't talked to probably 99% of the population yet. Probably not even 99.99999%, but I guess you get the point here. Basically, no one knows about this concept. And that was a weird intro into a YouTube video. I hope you still stick around because it's going to be super important what I'm going to teach you now. Unless you already know about it, then congratulations to you. So we all know about when it's like, yeah, you gotta do the hard work when you don't feel like it, right? But everyone is like, yeah, that's cool, but it's like, how do you actually do this? Like, how do you actually come up with the courage every single day to do the hard work when you don't feel like it? Because you can work hard for one day, maybe for 2 days, or for like a week, but how do you actually work hard for like years, or maybe even decades, whatever, right? It's like there is this underlying psychological principle which basically allows you to work for unlimited hours, so to speak. And I don't mean this here in like the way of like, yeah, you want to pull like 100-hour weeks or 80-hour weeks all the time. More so where you actually pull up the consistency to work all the time. And it's basically you have to do the hard work when you don't feel like doing it. And it might sound contradictory now because I just said a second ago that everyone knows this, but no one knows what this means. So let's just explain it for you now, basically. Um, basically, we have your current self on here. Like it's like your current reality, you're basically the current center of your universe, so to speak, right? You have your world, you have your family, you have your school, you have all of these cool things, and then over here, we basically have like your desired situation, like your desired family life, your desired school, whatever. Like, for example, over here, you're making about 7K at the moment per month with your school. You have one location, you have about, I don't know, 33 students, 23 students. Let's just say 33 students. You don't have a wife or a girlfriend, a boyfriend, or husband, whatever, like, or anything else. I don't care. But basically, you live alone in your apartment and you're like, I don't know, 28 years old, whatever, right? And you just started your school 6 months ago, and basically you have been teaching martial arts now for about like 5 years, but you have been doing martial arts ever since you're like 7 years old. And like the specific martial arts you teach is like jiu-jitsu, but you would love to expand into kickboxing as well because you've done that as well in the past, etc., etc. I get you. I guess you get the point. It's like the current situation, family life is all good. You're maybe located, I don't know, Arizona, US, whatever. And then that's the current situation, or sorry, not the desired situation. And then the desired situation is basically up here, where it's like, well, like you want to have a wife, you want to have kids, you want to have a school that makes you, I don't know, 80, 90K per month. So basically that gets you to seven figures, right? You basically have turned yourself into a person who can have a seven-figure income per year. You have a great family life. You have your wife. You have your house. You have multiple locations with your school. You have like 200 students, etc., etc. I guess you get the point of the desired situation as well. So we have those 2 points here, right? But as you can see, between those 2 points, well, I can't basically keep my hands like this and show you this, but so we have this point down here, this point up here, but basically between those 2 points we have the gap here, right? And you basically have to bridge this gap in order to get to the desired situation, new version of yourself, whatever, right? To get to this new lifestyle, right? And in order to bridge this gap, like you probably know that this can't happen overnight. Like it's pretty obvious, right? But you can't just get overnight you can't just bridge the gap overnight. Let me give you another example. Let's say you crave chocolate right now or sweets, and your desired situation is that you eat sweets. Well, we're still having like a current situation and a desired situation. The only difference now is that the gap is like way easier, quote unquote, to bridge, or like it's way, you will be able to bridge the gap way faster. Let's say it like this, right? Because from your current situation to your desired situation, you just gotta probably walk into your kitchen and grab some chocolate, or you just have to go into the supermarket and buy some chocolate. And this is something which can easily be done overnight, or which can easily be done within like a few minutes or hours at least. You get the point, right? So it's something that's really easy, like it's a gap that's really easy to bridge. Now if we come back to the example of the school owner in Arizona who has this current situation here and his desired situation up here, like in order to bridge this gap to get like from 7-8k per month to like 80-90k per month, whatever, it's probably gonna take him years. But as you know, you don't really know how long it's gonna take. I mean, you can do the math here, and you can obviously have like your current self, which will tell you, all right, it would be cool if I would achieve this in like 5 years. But to be completely honest, like, sure, you could calculate like the math down. You could calculate, all right, if I spend that much on ads, and then my lead to class booked conversion rate is like this, and then like my from people who do a trial class to people who sign up conversion rate is like this. Yeah, cool, you can do all of the math, but it's still like there are going to be events that might throw you away from this math, so to speak. Like, and it's still like the time frame is like the because what I said, because the desired situation is so far away from the current situation, it's kind of hard for basically anyone to tell you how long it's gonna take you. But what you do know is that it's definitely physically possible to achieve this reality and to turn this vision, or this idea that you have into your mind of your ideal life into reality. So because you don't want to like just fly around randomly without being in a plane or whatsoever, right? It's definitely something that's possible, physically at least, like from our physical laws speaking, so to speak, at least. But then the question obviously becomes, well, how do you bridge this gap? And this is where we get back to the beginning of the video when I said you have to do the hard work when you don't feel like doing it, because you obviously have your current self down here, like your current biological body, your ego, your mind, so to speak, right? And your desired self, like, needs to be a different person, obviously. Like, it's still gonna be your biological body, obviously, but you basically need to be a completely different person, because you probably know, and if you don't know, well, congratulations, I'm gonna tell it to you now. You're not achieving a goal, you're actually achieving a person that can achieve the goal. So, for the desired situation, if you could already have a house, have a wife with kids, and have a 7-figure income with your school, if you're already that person that can have this, well, you would already have it. But I can tell you one thing, like, your current self, basically the self from down here, doesn't stand a chance to live this desired lifestyle. No chance at all. Like, you don't stand a chance to make this into reality. Let me repeat that. Your current self doesn't stand a chance to become to have the reality of your desired self. Well, then you obviously real quick come up with the conclusion of like, well, in order to then get to the desired situation, you have to change yourself. Like, you have to change your persona. Like, you have to change the person who you are. And in order to do that, you obviously have to design the person you want to be. So you would design the person for this lifestyle. That's probably someone who's hardworking, who can manage employees properly, who's a good husband, a good wife, whatever it is, right? Let's just say husband in this example to keep it simple here. So you have to become all of those things, and your current self obviously like isn't that. So the question still remains, like, how do you bridge this gap? And like as I've told you, like, the simple answer is just do the work when you don't feel like doing it. But in order to bridge the gap from here to here, you basically have to grow into a different person. So you have to turn your current self into the desired self, right? And in order to do that, obviously we would know like what is your desired self like, but because we've just defined that a second ago, we know that as well. And you obviously need to know what your current self is like. Well, doesn't have any employees, doesn't have a wife, girlfriend, whatever, has a good family life, but still is relatively disciplined, but could be working harder, still is slacking here and there, still watches Netflix every now and then, whatever. Not saying that it's bad to watch Netflix every now and then, but I guess you get the point, right? It's could be more disciplined, and the desired situation would be fully disciplined, not like to like in a godlike level where you're always your ideal, because we're all still human beings, and I guess unless you're like Elon Musk or whatever, like you're not gonna be there. But story for another day, anyways. So in order to bridge this gap, you have to become a different person. Now, let me give you a quick biology lesson here. Every single organism has a bias towards survival, and I guess it's correct me if I'm wrong here, it's the most important thing for any biological organism. And basically, when you inflict pain on like a frog or on like any animal, so to speak, their survival mechanisms basically gonna kick in, and they're gonna like try to protect themselves. It's basically like that with anything. Like, um, and it's basically when I don't know if that makes sense, but when we think about with other human beings around us as well, like when they see, all right, a human being is injured, they're gonna come and help them, so this human being doesn't die, unless they're like their enemies. Whatever, story for another day, I guess. But basically, whenever you inflict pain like on yourself, you like you, I don't want to say you get closer to dying, because if you cut your finger, you're not gonna die, obviously, right? But in an extreme scenario, maybe yes. But again, I might be wrong here. But for the most part, pain basically means signals to the brain, all right, there's something wrong, like something is going wrong here, right? And if you're in too much pain, you're obviously going to die. I guess we can all agree on that. Now, you might be like, well, what the fuck is he telling me right now here? Basically, in order to kill, like, because we know that you, in order to become your desired self, you basically have to kill your current self. Like, not like in a biological sense, because not like in a physical sense, more so in a psychological sense. Because if you kill your biological body, obviously don't do that, but it's like, well, you can't grow into your new stuff. So your biological body needs to be there, obviously, but psychologically, you just need to become a different person. And we could argue now your biological body is then going to change as well. Sorry for another day. Anyways, so you need to psychologically kill your current self and grow into your desired self. And basically how you do that is through pain, because we know, like, whenever your body is, like, your current self is psychologically in pain, like, I mean psychological pain, to make this clear, like, I mean psychological pain in terms of like you doing your work when you don't feel like it, so to speak. I'm gonna get into that more in just a second. I don't mean you just wake up, stub your toe, break your leg, whatever. No, 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 don't do that. Also, don't, like, it's not the psychological pain of like breaking up with your girlfriend, or like, I don't know, whatever it is, like, don't do like weird stuff, right? You don't want to be like any weird pain. You want to basically be in psychological pain that helps you grow into your desired self. And you you don't really have to look any further than just doing the actions that you don't want to do in order to do that. So let's say you have been avoiding setting up some ads for your school, some online ads, and you've just been avoiding this for like months, maybe even years at this point, right? If you're at your current situation, well, in order to get to your desired situation, you probably have to do that. So, and it's painful to do that, because if you do set up the ads, gym is gonna get more revenue, and yeah, your current self would psychologically die, and you would grow into the new version of yourself. But then it's like, well, but if the action brings us forward, like, why does our current self not support that? Because we obviously want to make progress. Well, it's because our current self is dying and we grow into the new self. Our current self doesn't want us to take the action. So it just wants us to stay at where we're currently at. But when we take the action and when we feel the psychological pain inside of us, so when we're actually inside of the Facebook business manager, or when we're actually setting up the creators, our current self is just giving us resistance, so to speak, of like, well, let's rather watch Netflix, let's rather do X, Y, and Z instead of this activity. And you can basically put any activity here um, that would basically give you resistance. How do you know what's then the right thing to work on, so to speak? You basically don't have to look further than what you are avoiding at the moment. And obviously have to have some rational thinking here as well, right? But like, whenever you sit there and you don't want to do the work, that's when you gotta push even harder. And I don't want to be like any weird motivational, not weird, but I don't want to give you like a motivational talk here, but it's basically how this shit works. Like, you don't feel like doing it, you do it even more, because you have psychologically more pain, and the more pain you're psychologically in, the kind of more you're killing your current self at the moment, and the more you're growing into your desired self, obviously, right? And that's basically the thing you have to do in order to bridge this gap. You just gotta go through pain. You just gotta walk through literally fire. It's not like you can just like, here's the fire and you can just go dig under the fire, whatever. No, if you really want to get to your desired situation, you have to walk through the fire every single day. You have to wake up every single day and have the courage to be like, fuck, I don't want to work today, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Because obviously when you go to bed at night, you're gonna be like, fuck yeah, I did the work today. But I can tell you one thing: if you're here right now and you want to be here, in the beginning it's gonna be easier. You're gonna be motivated, easy, quote unquote, right? But you're gonna be motivated, etc. The further you get to your desired self, the more pain you're gonna feel, and the more resistance is gonna come up, and the more doubt is gonna come up by your brain. So when you the stronger resistance is, and the stronger like the doubts or whatever is, the closer you are to your current self, because to your desired self, sorry, and the more your current self is dying, because like before your current self dies, it will really kick up like a fast. It will really tell you, stop, 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 don't do this, we're dying. You're growing into the desired self, but you obviously want to grow into the desired self. So you are basically the dragon, but you are also the knight who defeats the dragon. Now let's think about it like this: if you're the dragon, like your current self is the dragon who basically holds the gold, and the gold, so to speak, is like your goal. It's like a dojo with multiple locations, 7-figure income, a beautiful wife, etc., whatever it is, right? And the knight is basically your desired self, so the person who can achieve this. Well, you just take the work, and the work is basically your best weapon to defeat the dragon. Like your work is like your sword with which you'll defeat the dragon. But you're obviously the dragon yourself as well. But I hope I'm framing this properly right now. So your current self is the dragon, which basically holds the gold. Like the dragon protects the gold, which basically is your goal, like a 7-figure income, whatever. And your desired self is basically the knight, who has like a sword, and the sword is the work with which you can defeat the dragon. Now, let me ask you this: what would the knight be without the dragon? Well, obviously we would just have an ordinary man with a sword. So, in order to turn to the desired self, you need to have the work, because otherwise you don't know what you're working on. Because you can be going, like a knight can go around with his sword and kind of do with it whatever he wants to, but if he's not defeating the dragon, it's kind of useless what he's doing. It's the same with you. If you're not going through pain, so to speak, and if you're not doing the work, which in this case would be for the knight defeating the dragon with the sword, you're doing the wrong thing. So if it's not painful, you're working on the wrong thing, so to speak. I hope I'm framing this properly for you here right now. I'm hoping this makes sense for you, but it's probably the most important lesson when it comes to growing your school. It's not about what copy you use for your Facebook ads or whatever. Like, that's all easy when you actually understand those concepts. And it's obviously you're not gonna be able to implement this like overnight and just you change your life overnight. Like, it's gonna take time and you're gonna fail. Like, resistance basically still gonna catch you. Like the doubts, you're still gonna sometimes give into it. You're still gonna sometimes give into your current self, just because you're depends obviously on how current or how strong your current identity is. But like, it's okay as long as you do the work at least 6 out of 10 times. If you do the work only 4 out of 10 times and 6 out of 10 times you don't do the work, well, you're gonna regress. You're gonna move even further into your current self. But if you do the work at least 6 out of 10 times, like at least 50% of the time or more ideally, you're gonna get there. And this is basically how you get from your current self, 7K per month, to your desired self, 90K per month, multiple locations, etc., etc. Now, that's everything for this video. If you want more students for your school, check out the first link in the description. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.